Hi everyone, welcome you all. In the today's video, I'm going to show you how can we handle WebTable in Playwright. So let me show you a sample table. I'm just going to testautomationpractice.com, and in this I have a small table and which is also having a pagination. And if I look at this table, I have a number of products, product 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and corresponding prices, and then there are some check boxes are present in the fourth column, right? So we can do various types of operations on this table. So normally what we can do, we can find total number of rows and total number of columns in a table, and we can put some assertions on them. And after that, we can select some of the products. Suppose I want to select particular product like this. I want to select product 2, or I want to select product 4, something like this. Or sometimes we can select all the products like this, right? And also we can read the data from the table. Suppose in the first page, I have only 5 sets of data. And if I just go to the second page and I have another sets of data, and third page and fourth page, and you can have a number of pages. So how can we read the data from all the pages? So now I'm going to show you how we can achieve this in Playwright. So let me go to the VS Code editor, and I already created a table spec.js file under my test folder. And this is my uh, test function which is created. And before that, I have imported test and expert functions from Playwright test module. And this is a test function which is created, and this is the title of the test. And page is a fixture. Now I have imported this page. I have opened my page, testautomationpractice.blogsource.com. Now the first and most important thing, we have to capture this table. And from the table, we can extract all the rows and all the columns. Okay. So before that, let us try to analyze this table and see what are the different tags are available. And if I look at this table, this is the table. There is an ID, which is product table. And inside this, there is a T header, and which contains a header section. And in the T body, we can have TR tags. Every TR is representing the particular row number in a table. And every TR contains again TD tag. So TD is representing table data, and TR is representing table row, particular row. So how many rows we have? Totally 5 rows are have. So we have totally 5 TRs are there. In the first TR, how many columns we have? Totally 4 columns we have. So we have seen 4 different columns. In the last TD, we have a checkbox. Okay. So this is the HTML code for this particular table. Now, let us start handling this table. So let's go back to the VS Code editor. Now I am launching the page, and then immediately, first of all, I want to find total number of rows and columns. And before that, we need to capture the table. So how to capture the table? So I await page.locator, and I can say page.locator, and I'm using the ID of the table, which is already there. And if I look at here, product table is my ID that I'm passing. So this will actually return the table that I'm going to store in a variable. I make it as a const variable. Now I capture the table. So once you capture the table, we can perform any number of operations. Now the first operation, what I'm going to do is I want to find total number of rows and columns. Total number of rows and columns. How to extract total number of rows and columns? So we already know the table, right? So from the table, how to find a number of columns first? So all the columns are present inside the T head. Inside the T head, there is one TR, and inside the TR, there are some multiple TH. So if you count exactly how many THs are there here, that is exactly equal to number of columns in a table. So now we need to write proper CSS, which will locate all the TH elements which are there inside the T head tag. Okay, so how can we do? We need to first, table we already captured. From that, we need to first go to T head. Then we have to go to the TR, and inside the TR, we have a multiple TH tags. So how we can write this total number of rows? First, we need to take the table element, table, and dot locator. And here we have to write a proper locator, which will capture all the table headers. So first, where we need to go? From the table, we have to go to T head. So I can say T head space. Inside the T head, there is only one TR. So I can say TR. And inside the TR, there are multiple THs are there. So I can say one space and a TH. So this will actually returns all the TH tags. They are basically what? Columns. And basically they are columns. So I'm just creating the const variable. So once you know the columns, we can easily find out total number of columns. How can we find out? I can just print the number of columns in my console window. I can say console.log and I can say number of columns. I can just print await columns dot count. So this will exactly give you total number of columns in that particular table. So number of columns, await this columns, we need to wait till we get the columns. So await columns dot count. So this will actually return multiple columns. All the TH tags will be written, which are there in the TR, and they are exactly equal to number of columns. And how can we count? Once we get all the columns, we can use count function, which will return the number of columns. Similarly, we can also capture number of rows. So again, take the table element, await table dot locator. And how can we find the number of rows here? If I go back to here, table is an element which we already captured. Inside the table, there is T head, which contains the columns. We already captured them. Now we need to go to T body. So inside the T body, there are multiple TRs. Every TR is representing particular row. So if you count how many TRs are here, they are exactly equal to number of rows in a table. So from the table, we can directly go to T body and then we capture the TRs. Now how to write here? We need to first go to T body and table.locator and tbody space and then tr tag. So this will return all the rows, all the TRs which are present inside the tbody that I'm going to store in a variable called rows, and I can create this as a const variable. So after that we can count. I can just count and print console.log, and here I say number of columns. Number of columns are what? Simply you can say rows.count. So this will give you exactly how many rows which are present inside the table. So here we counted number of columns and here we counted number of rows in a table. Now let us try to execute, and we can, if you want, you can put some assertions also. So I can put some assertions on rows and columns. Simply what you can do is expect, and suppose I'm expecting. Okay, so here we already captured the number of columns and number of rows. So what I can, and here also we need to put await because we need to wait till we get the rows. Okay, so this is a value we will get actually from the application. Now we need to compare with our expected. So to be, and how many columns we are expecting here is, I'm expecting totally 4 columns. I say 4 here. And similarly, I can write another session on the row number, await rows dot count. Whatever rows dot count here we are getting, that should be equal to 5. So if I look at the table in the current page, we have only 5 rows are there. Okay, now these are the 2 assertions we can keep like this. So what we have done here is we have just find out the total number of th tags, that is exactly equal to total number of columns, and by using count function we captured the number of columns. Same thing in the T body, we captured all the TRs, they're exactly equal to number of rows, and then we have counted the number of rows and printed, and then we put 2 assertion on number of rows and number of columns. Now save the test and then go back to the console window and then try to execute. So here my command is npx playwright test folder inside this table.spec.js, and I'm running on only Chromium browser on and also in headed mode. Press enter. Now it is started. So we're not done anything, just we have find out the total number of rows and total number of columns in a table. Yeah, now it is giving some error. And what it is saying here is expect await columns dot count to be 4. So this is giving some error. So that means it is not properly getting the columns count. So you can see expected is something and received is something. So received 0 it is giving. Columns received 0 it is giving. So let us cross check why it is receiving 0. So here we capture the table dot locator and t head inside this tr and then th tag. So this is the locator, and we put await, and we got the columns. And also once we get the columns, we put await here, columns.count. Okay, I don't see any issue here. Okay, so what we can do is, let us keep this expectation immediately after getting the columns. And similarly, let us keep this rows count here. Okay, so what exactly we have done is, we have captured the table.locator. This is a T header, TR and TH, and that will basically return. And one more problem in this, not exactly this one. So here we just specify the table name. Actually, this is the ID, right? So we need to specify the hash. Okay, so then after that, you can write both experts in one place, no problem. Okay, let us divide them. So this is for column validation, this is for rows validation, and here we specify the ID of the table. All right, now let me save and then Control C, then go back and execute one more time. Okay, so now it is got executing. Yes, now you can see in the console window, we got total number of columns exactly 4, and total number of, sorry, the second one is rows, right? So this is a number of rows. Yeah, this is a number of rows. So we got number of columns are 4 and number of rows are 5. Let me try to execute one more time. And even my assertions also got passed. Okay, perfect. Now number of columns are 4, number of rows are 5. So this is returning 5 and this is returning 4. Okay, so we have find out total number of rows and total number of columns in a table, and also we put 2 different type of assertions. Fine. Now what is the next requirement? So the next requirement is, in this particular table, if I look at this table, and in this we have checkboxes for every product, right? So what we can do is, we want to select particular product from this table. Let us say in the page 1, I have 5 different products. Now I want to select product 4 like this, or I want to select product 2 or product 1 like this. So how can we select a particular product from this table? How can we select particular product from the table? I will provide some input like product 4, then it should select this one. Or if I provide product 2, then it should select this one. Okay, so how can we select particular product from this table? So here we need to follow certain approach, which is there in the Playwright. So simply what we can do is, we have to first capture all the rows from the table, and that we already done. And if I look at the code, at the beginning itself, we captured all the rows from a table here. Then we have find out the count, right? So we already captured all the rows. Once we captured the rows, the next thing is, we have to filter them. In which row the product 4 is present, or in the product 4 is exist, in which row it is exist. So based on that value, we have to filter the particular row, and in that particular row, we have to go and select the checkbox. There are multiple things are involved here. The first thing is, based on the product name, we have to filter the rows. All the rows we already captured. 5 rows we have already captured. In those rows, in 5 those rows, we have to filter particular row based on the name of the product. And once you filter that particular row, once you capture that particular row, then we can directly go to the checkbox and we can select it. Okay, this we can achieve in the different way in Playwright. Now let me show you how can we achieve this. Okay, now I'll just comment this for now. So columns and rows we already counted. Let me just continue the code. So now the next. So this is the first requirement, total number of rows and columns. Now the second one. So here my requirement is, I want to select checkbox for product 4. So based upon the name of the product, I want to select the particular checkbox. To select the particular checkbox for the product 4, first of all, we already captured all the rows. And among all the rows, we need to extract the particular row based on the name of the product. So we have to filter the rows. On what basis we have to filter? Based on the name of the product. So here we have to follow a different approach in Playwright. So we need to apply something called filter function. Okay. So listen carefully. So here we already captured the rows above. So these rows we are captured. So in the rows, if I want to filter the particular row, I can call one function called filter. Okay. We can call one function called filter. And inside this filter, we have to provide certain options. Based on the options, rows will be filtered. So what are the options we can filter here? The first option is has page.locator of td. Page.locator as td. What is that? So whatever rows we have already captured, in those rows, I want to extract the data. Means all the data is present what in td tags. You can see in every row, the data is actually present inside the td tags. If I expand every tr tag, you can see td tags. So all the data which is present inside the table is part of td tags. So what we have to provide in the first filter is, in the particular table, in the particular rows, filter all the tds. Okay, wherever you can find a td tag, filter those elements from the rows. Okay, and inside the td, what is the value we're expecting? Product 4. That is the value we're expecting, right? So that we need to put another filter, comma, and has a text. This is another filter, has a text. So what is the text we are expecting in the td? That is product 4. That's it. So once you provided these filters, what will happen is, from the rows, after applying these filters, first we are filtering based on the td. So from all the rows, it will extract all the table data elements. They are all representing the actual data. And again, inside the data, because there are so many tds are there in every row, and which td contains product 4, and that I'm filtering. So finally, what this method will return is, this filter function return particular matched row. Okay, it will return matched row. And whichever row contains this product 4, that particular row, it will return. So I just create one more variable called const variable. Okay, so this is the approach we follow in our Playwright. So once you get all the rows, just apply the filter function. Inside the filter, I provided 2 filters. One is filter based on the TD first, and among all the TDs, filter whichever row is having product 4. So finally, it will return the particular row which contains a product 4. And once you get this particular row, inside that row, we have to select a particular checkbox, product 4 row. In this particular row, we have to select the checkbox. Now what we need to do, take this particular row, and inside the row, again, we have to find which one we need. Inside this particular product 4 row, there are multiple elements. This is the 1, this is the 2, 3, 4. And checkbox is a 4th element. Right? If I inspect this element, there is an input tag here. So this we have to select. So what you can do, in the match row, directly use locator. In the match row, what is that locator here is input is a locator. Input, and which is a checkbox, we can simply say check. That's it. So what exactly we have done is, from multiple rows, we have extracted a specific row based on the name of the product. And once you get the particular row, and inside this row, we are capturing this input box, and then we are capturing this checkbox, and then we are checking it. So this is how we need to select a particular checkbox which is belongs to particular product. Okay. Now after selecting this, I'm just wait for some time here so that it will go very faster. I just want to see the execution. So what I can do is I can say await page dot wait for timeout, and let's wait for 5 seconds. Okay, so this is how we can select a particular checkbox of the particular product. So first we need to apply the filter, and after that we can do it. So filter we have to apply. So this is how exactly filter function works in the Playwright. Okay, now let us try to execute and see the output. And before this match row, because until unless we get the match row, we need to wait here. So we need to put await match row dot locator input dot check. Okay, so let us try to save the file and then execute one more time. And just observe, I'm just scrolling down the page. So product 4 checkbox should be selected. Now we can see the checkbox is got selected for the product 4. Fine. So this is how we can simply select the checkbox based upon the product title. So this is very, very important. So this will basically filter the particular row, whichever row we want, it will filter based upon the value which we provided. So once you get a match row, we can use that locator option. In that particular row, we can select the checkbox. Perfect. So this is how we can simply select checkbox for the specific product. Okay, suppose I want to select for multiple products. I want to select the checkbox for multiple products like this. Whichever product name I will pass, accordingly, I want to select the checkboxes like this, multiple products. Then what we can do? Same code we cannot repeat multiple times, right? We cannot write the same code multiple times. It is again causing the duplication. So simply what we can do is we can create a reusable function in JavaScript. We can create a reusable function, and that function we can call multiple times. Whenever you want to select particular product from the table, you can just call that function, which will automatically select the whichever product you want. Okay. So I will repeat the same code again, same thing. I just want to create a reusable function. So what I will do is I will just comment this. This is for selecting specific checkbox for the product. So I'm just commenting this part for now. And now let me show you another requirement, third requirement. Third requirement is what? Select multiple options or multiple products. Select multiple products by reusing or by using reusable function. Reusable function in the JavaScript. Okay, so I want to select multiple products by reusable function. So what we can do is by calling this particular code, same code I'm just copying, and I want to create one function. Outside of the test, we have to create a asynchronous function in JavaScript. So how to create a function in JavaScript is simple. We can create like this function keyword. By using function keyword, we can create. And I'm creating one reusable function. Let's say select product. Select product. And this is a reusable function. And what are the parameters we have to pass in this is we have to pass. Okay, so we have to pass 3 parameters. All the rows we have to pass, and page we have to pass, and the name of the product we have to pass. Okay, page is nothing but a fixture again. So rows, number of rows, all the rows from the table we have to pass, page fixture we have to pass, and the name of the product we have to pass. And whatever we have done here to select the particular product, the same code I'm copying in the function. Okay, now what we can do is the rows we already passed. So I'm filtering the rows by using same locator, and which product you want to filter, on which product you want to select. I provided the parameter right here, name, that I'm going to replace here. So whichever product name I have passed as a parameter, I'm just replacing here. And here, this particular command, it will not work for function. Why? Because await expressions are only allowed within the asynchronous functions. So if you want to use await here, we have to make this function as an asynchronous function. So we need to provide the keyword. So this is how we can simply create a reusable function. So what is the use of this function? When you call this function by passing this data, it will go and select the particular product. Whichever product you want to select, it will select. And multiple products also you can select. Now this is a function which is created. Now what I will do is I will just call this function for multiple products. So observe this, how I'm calling. So here I can say await. What is the function name we created? Select product, right? Select product. And in this, we have to pass 3 parameters. So we already captured the rows above, right? So the rows we already captured. So the rows we have to pass. And second one is page fixture we have to pass, and which product you want to select. Suppose I want to select multiple products. Let's say I want to select product 1, 3, and 5. Okay. So here I will pass product 1. And same thing, I will call this function multiple times, and second time and third time. And here I want to select product 3, and then here I want to select product 5. Different type of products you want to select. So select multiple products by reusable function. So what exactly we have done here is we are calling the particular function by passing the 3 parameters. So immediately what happens, this particular function will be called, and it will filter the particular row wherever the data is matching, wherever the product name is matching, that will return the particular row, and it will go and select that particular checkbox which is present in the same row. So this function we are calling multiple times. Okay. So this is a reusable function we need to create outside of the test function or test function block. So currently I'm selecting 3 products. Okay. So let us try to execute and see. Now save the file, go back to the console window and then execute. Now just observe here, I'm scrolling down the page. Yeah. Yes. Now we can see product 1, 3, and 5. So 3 products are selected from the table. Perfect. So this is how we can select a multiple product. If it is a single product, we can simply filter the particular row and go and select it, the second one. And if you want to select multiple products from the table or multiple options you want to select, you can just reusable function, because if you want to repeat this again, it will be duplicated for every product, right? It is difficult to write the same code for every product. So simply create one reusable function like this and call that function multiple times. It will go and select multiple products. Okay. So this is how normally we can operate table. So far we have seen 3 different type of requirements. First, we have find out the total number of rows and columns. Second, we have selected specific product based on the name of the product. And the third requirement, we have selected multiple products from the table. Now, not only this, sometimes we want to work with the data also. So I want to print the data from the table, right? So if I look at my table, this is basically pagination table, and how to read this data from the first page. And similarly, there are multiple pages are there. How can we capture this data from all the pages from the table? Okay, so that we are going to see now. So first thing, let us try to read the data from first page from the table, and then we will see how can we read all the data from all the pages. Okay, so my next requirement is, let me comment this code. Okay, so my next requirement, fourth requirement is, I want to print all product details, and for that I want to use a looping statement. Okay, so by using a looping statement, I want to print all the product details like product ID, product name, price, and so on. So I want to print all the product details. And if I look at my table, in the last column is a checkbox, basically, right? I don't want to read anything. Nothing is there for reading this. So first 3 columns data, I want to read for every product. Whatever is there in the first page, I just want to read 5 product information like product ID, name, and the price. Now let us see how can we read the data from this particular table. So print all product details using loop. So here we have to use something called for loop. And here we will start from 0. Let I'm taking as a 0. And I'll tell you why I'm taking as a 0. And then how many times we have to repeat this, it depends upon the number of rows. So how we will get the number of rows here? We already counted here. Rows we already captured, right? So if I say rows dot, just a second. Yeah. So if I say rows dot count, so this will exactly give you number of rows present in a table. Okay, rows dot count. So we can use await here. Await rows dot count. And then every time I'll increase the I value by 1 I plus plus. Okay. So what exactly we are doing is, how can we read the data from the table? Before that, we need to know how many rows we have. So based upon the number of rows, we have to repeat the for loop. So inside this for loop, we have to first capture the first row. First, we need to get the first row and read all the columns data, then go to the next row, then read all the columns data, and next row, read all the columns data. Okay. So for repetition of the rows, we need to write one for loop, which is outer for loop. And for repetition of the columns in every row, for that, we need to write another for loop, nested for loop we need to write. So the outer for loop is for incrementing the rows and inner for loop is for incrementing the columns. So in inner for loop, I will also take one more variable int j equal to 0. I'm taking from 0. And how many times we have to repeat depends upon the number of. Okay, so here, how we will know how many number of times we have to repeat this? So if I look at here, we already find out the total number of columns, right? So if you want to find total number of columns here, columns count, we already counted total number of columns, right? This is the actual values. Those many times we have to repeat. Those many times we have to repeat. So I can take columns.count. Okay, now I can just go back to VS Code editor. And here, this is rows.count and this is a columns.count. Columns.count. And then J++. So the outer for loop is representing the rows and inner for loop is representing the columns which are there in every row. Okay, and one more thing we need to find out here. So before starting the inner for loop, we have to capture the particular row, right? So we need to first extract the particular row, and in that row, we have to capture all the data, all the columns. So to extract the particular row from all the rows, so what we can do is rows dot, there is a function in JavaScript called nth, and which row you want to capture? Ith row, I representing the row number, because this nth function will start from 0, index will start from 0. So that is the reason, even though the rows are starting from 1, but because of this nth function, we are starting from 0. So 0 means what? It is considered as a first row. And it is I value 1 means it is considered as a second row, like that. Okay. So from all the rows, I want to capture the ith row, whichever I value is representing, that row it will capture. And that I'm going to store in a variable. So I can create one variable called row. This is our current row. So from this current row, we have to extract all the TDs. If I go back, and this is my current row. Let's say this is my first one, product 1, 10.99. There is a checkbox. This is the first row. And if I inspect this first row, this is my first TR representing the first row. Inside the TR, all the data is present inside the TDs. Inside the TDs, actual data is present. So if you want to capture the data from this TDs, we first capture the TDs from this TR. Okay. So how to capture? Here we can say row dot locator. Okay. So we can say row dot locator and TD. So this will actually gives you all the TDs which are present inside the particular row. So this will give you all the TDs which are present inside the particular row. And TDs means what? Which contains actual data, columns. TDs are representing columns. So in the second for loop, instead of writing columns.count, we can simply write a TDs.count, right? How many TDs are there? Those many number of data we have. We can simply write TDs.count like this. Okay, TDs.count. And again, we don't need the last column here. Select column, it is simply having only check boxes. We don't need that. So we can reduce -1 here, so that we no need to get the last column. So this is the inner for loop. Okay, so before getting the data, columns data, first we need to capture the particular row. From multiple rows, we have to extract first row and then get all the TDs from that particular row. And then we have to read all the TDs by using second for loop. So how to read data now? Wait, whatever TDs we have captured, TDs, again, in the TDs, we have 3 to 4 or 3 TDs are there in the first row. How can we read that? TDs dot, again, we have to use same function, nth of j dot text content. So this is a method which we have in JavaScript. So that will actually return the text content of the element. So what exactly we are doing is we captured the particular row from multiple rows, and we captured all the TDs from that particular row. And here from all the TDs, we are passing J value here. That means it will get the first column. And now I'm printing here. I say console.log. I'm just trying to print the data. So after printing it again, what happens? Inner for loop will repeat multiple times. It depends upon the number of TDs. Depends on the number of TDs. It will go and repeat. And before using TDs, I'm also should wait. Await function we have to use. Because we need to wait here till we get the TDs. Okay. So inner for loop will get all the TDs from the first row. And because we are passing J value, initially J value 0, next time it will become 1, next time it will become 2, 3, and so on. So depends upon the number of TDs, it will get all the TDs and capture the content of the text. And it is going to print in my console window. So this is how we need to write inner for loop. Okay. So first we need to repeat the outer for loop for every row. And after that, inner for loop is for multiple columns. For every row, there are multiple TDs are there. TDs contains the actual data. So that we are going to read. Okay, so this is how we need to create a loop which will read all the data from the table. And currently this particular looping statement will read the data from the first page. Still, we are not dealing with the pagination part. We are just dealing with the static data, one single page. Okay, so we are trying to read all the rows. Again, every row we have a multiple TDs are there. So we are going to read. So let us try to execute this looping statement, and then we'll see whether it is correctly printing or not. So let me save the file, and everything is fine. So let me try to go and execute. So on the page, we are not going to do anything, and just it will go and print the data from the first page. Yeah, if I look at the console window, yeah, this is my output it captured. So you can see here, total number of columns are 4, rows are 5, and here this is actual data which is got printed. So this is the first row, and this is the second row data, and third row data, fourth row data, and then fifth row data. So we captured all the data from all the rows from a table. So this is how we can simply write a logic through which we can extract the data from the table. Okay. Now, finally, suppose I have data in multiple pages. In the same table, if I look at here, there is some more data which we have in every page. If I click on the pages options here, you will get some more data. So how can we read all the data from this table? So here we need to slightly enhance the code. So what we can do is same code we have to repeat for multiple pages. So basically what this will do, it will read all the data from the table, from the particular page. Now the same code we have to repeat multiple times for every page. It depends upon the number of pages. If you have 10 pages, 10 times we have to repeat the same script. If you have 4 pages, we have to repeat 4 times. Okay. Now what I'll do is let me copy the same code. And this time we are trying to handle the pagination part. So let us comment this part. And now fifth requirement. Select, or you can say read data from all the pages in the table. So read data from all the pages in the table. So same logic, whatever we have written above, the same logic, but we have to repeat this for multiple pages. We have to repeat this for multiple pages. Okay. So before doing this, first of all, let us try to handle the pages. How to handle the pages? So before repeating, first we need to know how many pages are there in this table. So we need to find out the total number of pages. So for that, what we can do is let us try to inspect one of this element. And if I look at this HTML, the pagination, which is there is a class option here. Pagination class is there, and also ID is present. Both are present. You can use either class or ID, anything is fine, which is pointing to the pagination. Now in the pagination, how many pages are there? That is listed out here. in li tag, there is an anchor tag, and here there is a 1. And in the second li tag, in the anchor tag, there is a 2. And in the third li tag, we have another anchor tag called 3. So it depends upon the number of pages. You can find multiple list items here inside the pagination. Okay. So now, first of all, we need to count how many number of pages are there for this particular table. So how can we count? We need to write a proper locator. So I'm trying to use this class pagination. So first thing, we need to count a number of pages. So to count a number of pages, we write like this: await page.locator and dot class name. So this is the class name of the page, and not only class name, and not only the locator, not only the pagination. Inside this pagination, we have to find out all the li tags. So pagination space li space. Inside the li tag, in every li tag, there is an anchor tag. So that is actually contains this link, right? So we need to provide a also. So we need to find out the total number of pagination links, and they are storing in one variable called, I say, pages. Okay, so I say pages. I just create one variable called pages const. So this will actually returns all the pages which are there in the pagination. Now, how can we count them? Simply, if you want to count a number of pages, what we can do, we can say await pages.count. So this will actually gives you total number of pages which are present inside the table. So I'm just printing this console.log and number of pages in the table. Number of pages in the table. And now I'm trying to print. Okay, so we have just written proper locator and get all the pages from the pagination. And then I'm just trying to print here. Okay, this is not enough. So based upon the number, based upon the total number of pages, we need to put one more bracket here. Okay, so it depends upon the number of pages. We have to repeat this particular above code multiple times. How many times we have to repeat this? Depends on the number of pages present inside the table. So how to repeat the pages? We have to write a special for loop for this, additional for loop. And this for loop is for repetition of the pages. Okay. So initially we will start, let me take variable called p. I'll start from 0. And then p less than, how many times we have to repeat depends upon the number of pages. So I'm trying to use this option, await pages.count. Await pages.count, and every time I will increase the page number by 1. So this is a for loop. Okay. And when we have to click on the page number, so by default, if I open the table, so by default, the first page is got opened. So we no need to click on the first option, right? So you need to click on the second option, and then third option, fourth option. First option, you no need to click from the pagination. So because the data is by default, it is displayed. So what we need to do is we need to check one condition. If the p-value greater than 1 or greater than 0, because 0 means it will consider as a 1, because we are trying to use nth function. The nth function index will always start from 0 only. Okay, there's a reason we are starting from 0. In every for loop, if I look at, I'm starting from 0 only, because internally I'm trying to use nth function everywhere. And here we use less than. Okay, there's a combination. Now, if p greater than 0, that means what? If the pagination number is greater than 0, then only we have to perform the click action on that. If it is greater than 0, and then only we have to click on this. 0 means here it is 1. So first one, we need no need to click. So if p greater than 0, then what we need to do? We need to click on this option. So how to click on this option is, we need to simply say await from all the pages, because we already captured all the pages here, right? So from all the pages, and which page you want to click? Nth of, here we have to pass p. So it will go and capture the particular page number from the pages, and then we have to perform the click action. So this will exactly perform the click action on the particular page number. And when we have to do this, only if the page number is greater than 0, then only we have to do. Because in the first page, we don't need to click, because first page by default data is displayed. So we need to click this only if the page number is greater than 0. And before repetition, we need to do this validation. And after that, we just copy the same code. So whatever code we have written for reading the data from the table for the particular page, you can just copy the same code after if condition. So now what happens is, so we enter into the block here. So initially page number is 0, p greater than 0. If not, it will directly come here. So what this code will do, this will again count the number of rows in particular page number. And again, it will get the particular row, get all the TDs and read all the columns. So once this loop is repeated, first page data is got displayed. And after that, what happens again, it will go to outer for loop, this one, and page value will be incremented 1. Again, it will compare, okay, if it is 1 greater than 0, true, then it will go and click on the next page number. And then this inner for loops, these two loops will again get the data from the table. So the same code will be repetitive multiple times, depends upon the number of pages. If the number of pages are over, then this condition become false. Then this particular for loop will be exited. So like that, it will work. So what I will do is I will just keep this wait time so that I want to see whether it is pagination is working fine or not. So what I can do is after completion of this, okay, so this inner for loop, I will keep one more wait statement here. Okay, so I'll put one more wait statement so that we will clearly see whether it is navigating between all the pages or not. Okay, fine. So now let us try to execute the code. Here also 3 is enough. Save the file. Okay, so everything is clear. We captured all the pages first, and we find out the total number of pages in a table. And depends upon the number of pages, we repeat this logic, right? For every page, we have to read all the data, rows and columns. Perfect. Now go and save and then execute. Now you can just observe, I'm manually scrolling down the page. Now currently it is in first page. Now data is read. Now it will go to the second page now. Now again, data is reading. Now go to third page. Again, data is reading. Now it go to fourth page. Now again, data is reading. So after fourth page, there are no more pages are there. So it will simply exit from my code. If I just go back and see, we got up to product 20. Product 20 is the last one, the last product, which is there in the fourth page. Okay. So this is how we can simply read the data from the table. And whenever you see pagination table, accordingly, we have to modify the logic. Okay. So this is how we can handle web tables in Playwright. So we have seen how to find total number of rows and columns. And then we have seen how to select a particular product checkbox and how to select multiple products checkboxes by writing reusable function. And then we have seen how to read the data from the specific page, and especially in the first page data we have read. And if you want to read data from all the pages, then how can we read? How can we implement this logic? So that we have learned today. In the next video, we'll see some other topics. So thanks for watching. That's all for this video.